Okay. Are we all on? Ready? Yep.
You're happy? You're happy? Yep.
Everyone's
You're pretty ready. Thank you.
Okay. So far...
I'm very sorry. I'll just double check this is definitely on.
Yep.
Thank you.
The Cook Labor government continue to ignore the broken health system that has happened under their watch. We have just experienced the worst start to the year for ambulance ramping on record. The final published figures for February are the worst February on record. Over 4,800 hours of ambulance ramping. Only the WA Liberals have a plan to address it. Only the WA Liberals have a comprehensive plan which will reduce ambulance ramping through our urgent care clinics and urgent care clinic expansion from day one. According to St John, this will reduce ambulance presentations by about 20%. But we're doing more than that. We're also building capability and capacity in our hospital system. We are also investing in our own health workforce and introducing a range of other reforms. Importantly, these are not just statistics. Every hour an ambulance is ramped represents a patient who is waiting for urgent care. I will now hand to, I'm here today with Kim Hunter and Kelly, whose daughter, Ashley Hunter, tragically died in 2019 and suffered an unnecessarily painful death while and associated with ambulance ramping outside one of our public hospitals. And Kim, I'll hand to Kim now.
Thanks, Libby. Yes, our daughter Ashley was taken by ambulance to Royal Perth Hospital. She was showing signs of sepsis and was assessed by St John's as having pain of 10 out of 10. Due to the busyness at RPH, she was sent to the ramp. She should have been seen in 10 to 20 minutes, but an hour later she's still ramped at RPH. Due to the ramping, she was not able to be provided with any pain relief, so she was left thrashing around, crying out in pain until her little body just gave up and she had a heart attack and died. Her last words, we believe, were, "Help me, it hurts," just before she had a heart attack and died. That was 5 years ago, and in the 8 years that Roger Cook was Health Minister and Premier of this state, nothing has changed. Our concern is how many more Ashleys have to die before someone takes ambulance ramping seriously. Thank you.
How old was your daughter?
Our daughter was 26 years old, so she was still able to communicate and talk to the staff at RPH, but unfortunately, because they were busy, she was basically in the what they call the A bay, which is the ramping area where they put patients that they just can't see. And she was given a Cat 3. Once you get a Cat 3, your chances of being seen in an hour are basically zero. That was 5 years ago, and I think it's worse today. So yeah, it was unfortunate.
So does that assessment, that CAT assessment, need to be reviewed as well?
Look, no, the CAT assessment is black and white. She had 10 out of 10 pain, which normally means she should have been Cat 2. But the triage just decided, she looked over her shoulder and the hospital's busy, they can't fit her in, so she gets ramped. That's the reality of our hospital system.
Is that right? Your family went for a coronial inquest as well, and what did anything come from that?
Yeah, she died of meningococcal, and we accepted her death at the start as meningococcal. But when we looked at the hospital reports, it just didn't make sense to us, and that's when we investigated. Our investigations led to independent experts being called, and they recommended that a coronial inquest was held. Recommendations were made by the coroner. We haven't had much feedback about it. We had a meeting with the Minister for Health. we didn't, felt that achieved much, but she met with us. But no, we haven't really.
4 years after.
That was 4 years later. We finally got a meeting with the minister, but it didn't really achieve much. But she listened. But a lot of the issues that the coroner addressed are slowly being dealt with, but nothing, I think, which is going to solve the ramping issue.
Is there something in the Liberal Party plan that sort of excites, things gives you hope that things will change?
I suppose, like most West Australians, we've sat back for 8 years and gone, what's happening? The worry is the Cook government has made announcements in the last few weeks to try and address the issues, but we're going, well, hang on, this is going to take 5 years, 10 years, maybe 20 years. Nothing's going to solve the issue in the next year, really. So we're hoping that with Libby's plan, things can happen sooner rather than later, because more people will die. It's a fact, and people are dying. It just doesn't get reported. And Roger Cook doesn't want to talk about ramping because he stood up in Parliament and said it was a crisis. And
If your daughter was seen that in 10 or 15 minutes she could still be here today?
no, the coroner's inquest determined that her chances of survival were narrow, slim. But what she was quite disappointed with was she was never given an opportunity by the health system to fight for her life.
Nobody has a crystal ball. There's no way of telling whether she would have survived. Yep, her chances of survival were slim. But her delayed access to that ED meant her chances of survival became zero. We live with that every day.
Yeah. And the way she died is what we have to live with for the rest of our life. She was in a lot of pain. Her last words were, help me, I'm hurting. So, it's something we have to live with every day, and it's, as a family, we just hope other families don't have to do what we go through.
Have you come across any other families who've been put in a similar situation?
Well, we read about it, but we haven't, we've tried to stay out of it. I mean, it's been a long drawn-out process with the coronial inquest. It's been draining, but we're very grateful for the coroner to sort of hear our case. But it's, we've tried to step back a little bit and just grieve. Thank you.
Any questions for me? Yeah, Jake.
What in your plan is going to address Kim's concerns and bring those ramping hours down in the next
Well,
few years?
there's a number of things. Our urgent care clinics, or free access to urgent care clinics, and the expansion of urgent care clinics, according to St John, will immediately reduce ambulance presentations by about 20%. We are also committed to a Royal Commission to look into the management of our hospital or emergency departments as well. We are investing in building capacity across our health system. 500 transitional beds, which represents about 14,000 bed stays, plus opening 2 wards at Joondalup Health Campus, which will help 4,000 patients a year. We are also looking at alternatives outside of the hospital system, alternatives to hospital beds, to reduce the challenges of bed block, such as expanding hospital in the home, delivering the first time public access to chemo in the home as well. Incentives for the health workforce, the most attractive incentives for nurses in the country to study and work in Western Australian hospitals, as well as investing in a GP workforce and upskilling our GPs as well. There are a number of measures for regional patients as well. It is about investment in our health regional health infrastructure program, boosting the PAT scheme, and our elective surgery guarantee. This is all about taking the pressure off our hospitals. Importantly, we have a plan. Our urgent care clinic plan will provide an immediate impact through delivery on day one, while we are building capacity and introducing our reforms, and the Royal Commission to look into how we can better manage our hospital system as well.
You're also promising to reduce ramping by redeveloping RPH. So
Yes.
when will construction start and how much is that going to cost?
Yes, so we will also be, we are committed to a rebuild of Royal Perth Hospital. We appreciate that we need to get moving on the Women's and Babies Hospital straight away at the QE2 site so that given the work that's already been undertaken there. We will start planning in our first term on the rebuild of Royal Perth Hospital as well. Given the challenges of the construction market, given we want to be best informed about how we build capacity as well, it will be in our fourth year that we are investing in the early stages of a rebuild of this hospital, which has served the community so well for so long.
So it's fair for voters to presume that most of the big steps to reduce ramping are not really going to kick in until a few years into the
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. We're talking about reducing ambulance ramping by 20% through our urgent care clinics straight away. We're also talking about lifting and providing or lifting bed pressure in our hospitals through our elective surgery guarantee as well. We're looking at chemo in the home, taking chemo patients out of hospital beds and having a more dignified service in their own home as well. And we're looking at transitional beds, looking at those high care beds that can be used in transition outside of the hospital system, which represents about 14,000 bed stays. Collectively, this will make a significant impact on what we are seeing under the Cook Labor government. There is a stark difference between the Liberal Party's plan and what Labor have been doing.
So with the urgent care clinics, you're saying that pretty much from day one you could start directing more people that way and that would immediately impact?
According to St John, that's right. So it will reduce ambulance presentations, according to St John, by 20%. It will also be able to divert patients from emergency departments, triage 4 and 5 patients, to urgent care clinics as well. Those aren't our statistics, they have been provided by St John. This is about ensuring that our hospitals are dealing with the most acute cases and that we can alleviate the pressure so that patients can be seen in the most timely manner.
Roger Cook yesterday was asked about this in his Q&A at the leadership breakfast, and he said something like, the focus on ambulance ramping is part of the cut and thrust of politics. That politicians choose metrics to try to boost their case. What do you make of that sort of characterisation of this?
Well, we've just heard from Kim, and I'm very familiar with Ashley's story. These are not just statistics. This is not just cut and thrust of politics. We're talking about Western Australian lives here, and we're talking about the most wealthiest state in the country. And looking at these statistics, they're going in the wrong direction. They're not just statistics, these are people. And the WA Liberal Party are committed to addressing these issues as a priority. Western Australians expect, when they turn up to an emergency department, to be seen within a clinically recommended time.
Just looking at that graph and where things get really bad, is it fair to say that you can sort of see the impact of COVID, the disruption of COVID in that graph?
Well, before COVID, you can also see those figures climbing. You can also see we've just experienced the worst start to a year on record under Roger Cook. It is the worst February on record. Roger Cook said 1,000 hours of ambulance ramping was a crisis. February has been over 4,000 hours of ambulance ramping. These are not just statistics, these are Western Australian patients. And we can do better as a state. Only the WA Liberal Party are committed to doing better.
Well, measures to tackle ramping have previously been announced, so is there any new announcement from the Liberals today?
We are underlining the point of difference here. We're underlining the point of difference between the Liberal Party and the Cook Labor government, who are brushing these issues off as just a statistic. This is not just a statistic. We have a clear plan, and after 8 years, the Cook Labor government are ignoring this issue, and in fact they do not feel they need to have a plan.
And with those urgent care clinics, are they resourced and ready to go to take those on day one?
This is about, yes, but we will also be building more. So our commitment is for providing the funding for public access to these urgent care clinics, as well as the provision of funding for an additional 3 urgent care clinics as well.
A teenager from Eton's been arrested over an alleged terror threat. Is the multicultural community safe here in WA?
It's appalling to hear about this news. There has been good work, as I understand it, in collaboration between WA Police and New South Wales Police in relation to this matter. We can always do more, but I commend the efforts of both WA Police and New South Wales Police in relation to this matter.
Do you have any concerns about rising Islamophobia in WA?
Well, we should always be alert to rising levels of any threat, including Islamophobia, and what has been reported is deeply concerning.
How do you think health issues, health services
Oh, what did you find on the web?
will play out in those regional seats in Geraldton, Kalgoorlie, Albany? Do you think that there's more frustration out there?
We have seen regional health services go backwards. There is no doubt. And it was only on the eve of the election that the Cook Labor government increased the PAT scheme to meet what we have committed to in relation to that, in response to what is exacerbated as a cost of living crisis as well. Increasingly, we're seeing patients having to travel to Perth to get the care that they need. In areas in the Midwest, for example, we're seeing mothers having to travel to Perth to give birth because we're not having midwifery care there. The WA Liberal Party's plan includes incentives for medical students to go into GP practice, but also for placements in regional areas where there is high demand as well. Roger Cook says that this is a federal government responsibility. We believe there is more that the state can do, given it has an inevitable impact on our hospital system.
Do you think you'll win Geraldton, Albany, Kalgoorlie?
Sorry?
Do you think you'll win those seats, Geraldton?
Look, we're not. We're just working very hard, outlining our message on about a better future for WA and our clear plan to fix the mess that's been created over the last 8 years during the largest boom our state has ever seen. It is quite clear that despite the riches that Roger Cook boasts about, we are not seeing the dividends when it comes to the people of Western Australia.
Your costings are going to be done tomorrow. Happy
Yep.
to be patient and wait for numbers on savings and all the rest.
Yep.
But can you tell us who is going to do those costings?
That will be part of the process and the presentation tomorrow.
Why won't you reveal that?
It will be part of the process and it will be revealed tomorrow as part of Steve Martin's presentation. I'll be there as well.
Is it because the firm is not that credible? Is that why you don't
Absolutely
want to say?
not. I've got complete confidence in the presentation that we will be making tomorrow.
With the costings,
Yeah.
you're doing it tomorrow, so it's just before the election. Rita Safioti's comment is that we've seen so many people do early voting now, and wouldn't it be fairer on them to know what your costings are before they cast an early vote?
Well, all of our election commitments have costings attached. We will be providing costings in the usual manner, similar to how Labor presented theirs from opposition. This comes from a treasurer that can't add up. And let's not forget, when Labor went to the election, apparently Metronet was going to be worth $3 billion. It's now at a cost to the taxpayer of over $13 billion.
We're almost at the end of the campaign. What's your read on the public sentiment out there? You feeling any sense for a mood for change or anything of that nature?
Look, our candidates are working hard. The community is engaged. We have a mountain to climb. We don't have the resources of the Labor government, of course. While they're playing a game of distraction, we're focused on the issues that Western Australians are talking to us about. And they want to see a number of issues addressed. Reducing household fees and charges, cost of, yeah.
Sorry,
I heard that before.
If Labor,
Yeah.
So if Labor loses 15 seats, should that send a message to the government, or is a win a win and it doesn't matter?
Look, I'm not going to commentate on this.
Right, so would 15, 16 seats be a really good night for you?
Look, I'm not going to commentate. My focus is talking to the people of Western Australia and outlining how the WA Liberals' priorities are the Western Australians' priorities, and we have a clear plan to fix the mess created over the last 8 years of a Labor government who've been focused on the wrong priorities and in fact have just been focused on themselves.
What do you think of all your different points, your criticisms of the government? Which ones do you think have had the most impact or resonated best with the electorate?
Well, when I'm out and about talking to people across the community, what they want to hear, what they're saying to me is they're struggling more than ever before to put food on the table. They are deeply concerned that in the wealthiest state in the nation we have the worst set of figures for our emergency departments. They are disheartened to hear about cancer patients being treated in hospital corridors and a Premier just brushing these incidents off as if they're not serious or not important. This government, their focus on a special NRL team or a speedway by the Swan highlights that they've been focused on the wrong priorities.
How do you take your democracy sausage?
With onion and sauce, yeah. All right, we're done.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.